Congratulations, Remedu's first child is born. Gaia has been brought into this world. No, jokes aside, I'm actually really surprised they're not going to bank on that. I was absolutely convinced that Milim was going to see this as her and Remedu's child. That here's our child's finally been born or whatever. Like, even that little moment where we've seen Milim and she's, again, sitting there cuddling the egg and whatnot. But no, she's still calling it my friend. This is my friend Gaia. Which makes sense to the whole, thematic element here, is that this is Milim sort of finally getting over this trauma of losing her friend. That he was able to get this fragment of the soul and reincarnate it into this new being, and Milim's able to be reunited finally. As it pops out of there, finally reunited with my friend. It was super cute, but again, I'm surprised the writer didn't go the route of what I was suggesting, my first baby route, that this was going to be Remedu's first child, and Milim was just going to hang this over everybody's heads. Like, everybody, Shion, Shuna, all of them. No, I'm the one that has the first child with Remedu. It's just, anyways, that aside. Episode 84. Overall, okay episode. It's a lot of kind of jumping around and getting updates from people. It is significant of an episode, mainly around... Yes, what is the evolution of Tempest? The evolution of Tempest is now incorporating this constitutional state. That is a massive, massive thing for society to implement. That is a huge, huge thing. So it's a significant episode, and I would assume that they're going to incorporate this as being a significant thing in the future for the storytelling, but it in an episode kind of is boring if you think about it. But let's just get into the episode proper, going through scene by scene like I typically do, opening up the episode with Granville. I don't know how much I want to look into the scene, because it feels like a lot of, very vague riddles. He's like, Maribel has died. To unify the rights of all humans to live, to stand against the demon lords. There's no other way to protect humanity. Hope has been lost, blah, blah, blah. And then it has a little brief moment where it seems like this individual he's at the bedside of tells him, don't be bitter, you have your own. And that reinvigorates him. So he goes from, being at a loss because Maribel's gone. This is, my chance to actually win against these people. I think there may have been a possibility that up until the point that he meets Maribel, he had given up the hope of ever taking down the Demon Lords, and he was hoping that they could always, maintain control. But now that Maribel's gone, who had a chance of hopefully being able to take down the Demon Lords, he's lost all hope. But at this moment, he's hearing this voice or this memory that says, don't be bitter, you have your own. It implies to me that he's recalling that, yes, he has some potential, some ability. Again, he used to be this hero. He has this potential that he could go up against the Demon Lords, and that leads him to basically say, I have no choice but wager the faintest glimmer of hope. I don't know how long I'm going to live. And he goes marching off. Those two sentences right there tell me, I don't know how long I'm going to live. I've lost the hope that we can take them down, but I'm going to see if I can take down at least one. That's what it feels like. That feels like I can use something to potentially take down something, but I'm going to die in the process. But at least humanity will be saved in my eyes. I don't know, but I think the more concerning thing is that as he's walking out, he says, humans, heroes, demon lords, time for conclusion is over. Luminous. Specifically, time conclusion is over. Luminous. Why specifically Luminous? Again, they've implied with the last episode, and it's implied here, obviously, because they're in the same region here, that he and Luminous have some sort of agreement, which is weird. Again, they don't like Demon Lords. They were trying to get Maribel to take down Remedu. Why is there a comfort with Luminous? The assumption there, again, is that there's somebody that ties the two of them together, and it would be likely his wife. That there was somebody the two of them found special that brought them together. Again, we'll see, hopefully, as this story is being told, what that connection is. But that makes me kind of wonder if specifically he's going to be going after Luminous, or if he's going to hope that Luminous will join him against Remedu. I don't know. Either way, this really does feel like Granville has given up all hope, and he's looking to take down as much as possible as he goes down. That's the concerning thing, but we'll see. We'll see. But anyways, that's when we cut over to Remedu, and he pretty much gives a lowdown on what's happened since then, that Maribel has obviously died, and that it looks like their parents are pretty much apologetic to the whole situation. They're wanting to kind of sweep everything under the rug, that yes, technically Maribel did try to kill somebody from another faction's leadership, that kind of thing. So let's just kind of keep this whole hush-hush. Notice the fact that Granville has been silent. Yuki hasn't made any moves. And also that the council has come to him specifically about sort of unifying them and giving him a massive control in the council itself, which is going to give him obviously more responsibilities, but it also opens the door for him to have a lot of more pull to all the kingdoms to kind of direct it in the way that he wants it. This idea of equality and everything. So, like, a big positive that comes up from this whole situation. Maribel dies and we get power. We get power. But yes, that opens up the door to the big meeting that we had with Rimuru and all of his people, and that is to announce that he is planning on instituting a constitutional state. And of course, with that, a separation of powers. Which this is funny. Okay, the constitutional state thing, yes, very, very significant. This is a massive thing for essentially to have something to keep everything in check, including leadership. And I love that they actually point that out. He goes, I want to do this thing. What is that? Well, we don't know what a constitutional state is. Oh, it's basically that you have this rule of law and it applies to everybody in the actual country. Coming from, obviously, most of these countries, and yes, technically Tempest as well, is that the leadership, the rulers, are above everything else. All laws and everything are dictated by the rulership. This will establish a set of rules and guidelines and boundaries and laws and all that kind of stuff that will apply to also, as he points out to everybody, me. Even me, which makes him panic. I like how everybody's like all cool with it. Like, oh yeah, sure, Rimuru wants to do that. All right, let's do that. All right, let's do constitutional state. Oh yeah, it's going to apply to me too. So wait, what happens when you break the rules though? Oh yeah, I get punished too. No, we don't like that no more. It's like literally it shifts to quickly like, do we really need to evolve? Nobody likes this idea of Rimuru possibly being punished by these rules. Like, no, it can't be. But it makes sense, right? Like, this is a really good move by Rimuru because it seems like, as he says later, the hope here is that as we work with other humans and other kingdoms more and more, we want to essentially establish something that will put their minds at ease. Let's essentially establish rules that they would establish. Let's put human rules into effect for ourselves. This idea that, in the end, even the ruler of Tempest could be in trouble if he broke one of those laws. And I would assume one of those rules is probably going to be not to kill, not to murder somebody. And again, for the leader to even also be under those rules, that would put somebody's mind at ease. So it's a cool concept here. The funny thing is, though, is that, yes, with the constitutional state, a separation of powers is kind of important. Again, similar to like any other constitutional state like United States, and yes, technically even Japan, the idea that you'd want to separate the powers so that you can't mess with that constitutional state that much. You have to make it to where the rules themselves can't be adjusted by a knee-jerk reaction or whatever. So you want to have this separation of the powers. The problem is that he establishes it like typical, again, like very much like United States and whatnot, where you have legislative branch, you have the judicial branch, you have the executive branch. The problem is that he he very quickly goes to assigning who's going to rule each one of them. And he just selects a bunch of hobgoblins. He just... At first, my reaction was, are they all related? Are these all like brothers? Okay, it doesn't. I don't know that they're necessarily confirmed to be brothers, but still, they're of the same race, and which, in effect, they could also be of the same bloodline. That's not how you separate powers, Rimuru. You can't just give all branches to the same race and potentially the same family, because then the power's not separated. You have to like spread out the power to different people that are not affiliated with each other that much. Otherwise, they just collude, and thus you don't have a separation of powers. I just got a kick out of the fact that I'm like, they're all goblins. Like, what kind of separation is that? Anyways, it was just a passing thought process I had. But again, it's not the most entertaining thing to watch. But again, I see the significance of this for the future of Tempest. And again, I see a lot of really cool stuff that the writer could end up doing with this. So anyways, they do bring up one very important thing at the end here, though, is the fact that they're going to have an attorney general and a chief justice, and they're going to have to be applying the law, and they're probably going to make a lot of people not like them. So they kind of need somebody that can defend themselves while also being kind of smart. Who do we find that does that? They also want to assign somebody to be the military attache over in the council, and they choose Diablo. So going with that whole thing there. Outside of that, we had Rimuru kind of wandering around. Get to find out that Kurobe has created a magic sword. It's more like socketing weapons. Like he created this socketing weapons system. It looks like a buster sword with like the materia system, but they're using these elemental cores in there to make them super powerful, whatever. It was neat, I guess. Also found out that the sword that he's had this entire time is potentially mythic god grade. Not surprising. Moving on. It's like, so yeah, Rimuru has an OP weapon. Yeah, okay, anyways, moving on. See the train station's coming along, ends up going over to talk to Gell for a little bit. What's a cute little scene there. I like that they kind of drew parallels between the Geld of old and the Geld of now. And the fact that, yes, he had this whole talk with Rimuru at some point. It was a really cool little conversation. It was really Rimuru calling back to his previous life and what he sort of struggled with and, you know, relating that to Geld. It was a nice little opening up experience with Geld there. And it seemed like Gell took that experience and thus applied it to the people that he's working with now in the animal kingdom, which is these subordinates that used to work for Clayman. These guys were afraid of dying. And so Geld of any person, upon having that, you know, expressed to him, is able to quickly relate. Oh, that's your concern. They're not working hard and they're kind of slouching around because it's impending doom. The moment it's done, we're dead. It's not, you can't really encourage somebody very much in that situation. So he's able to tell them, look, this is what happened with me and my people. We had this orc lord. He did a lot of crazy stuff. We followed him. Rimuru came across, wiped out their group, and then brought them under his wing. And we're still alive here. He didn't punish us like we expected. He gave us a home. And now we work for him. And now you can do the same thing. It's your opportunity to change your ways, go a different direction. So it's really cool. It's really cool. See Geld kind of step up and, again, be able to give that testimony, basically, to them. We had a brief scene with Yom, found out that he's got a kid on the way. Yay! And then Ramidus comes up and says, Daihen, we have a big disaster. Come over here quickly. And he rushes over there to find that they have the Magi train done. It's so funny how everybody manages to like sneak up on Rimuru. He's like in there going, where'd everybody go? And then suddenly everybody's right next to him. Like they all teleport next to him and goes, celebration. We got the Magi train done. I'm like, Rimiru's not able to detect anybody in the room, apparently. I don't know. But yeah, it was, yay. It's cool. It seems to imply a lot that Rimuru is just a massive train geek. Like, this is something that he loves. This is the kind of stuff that he just eats up. He's very much so an otaku when it comes to things like this. So he's, of course, like super over the moon for this whole situation. And, of course, again, the significance of the train itself is the supply chains and whatnot for everything they're building on right now. So they get into a little bit into the elemental core, which apparently was based off of the elemental colossus, which they used that and sort of cross-reference it to what they did already and made an elemental core. So they didn't think they were going to build it that easily, but apparently it was easier than they expected. Guys, like, I hate the fact this was so easy. I hate this. I was trying so hard. It just turned out to be so easy. I hate this. It was dorky. And of course, the biggest important thing about the whole process of making the elemental core is the fact that Veldora summoned a salamander. They said that he summoned it inside the core. I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, that's interesting, I guess. Which all leads them to, of course, a celebration. And again, during the celebration, Milim runs up, has her babies hatching. Gaia's hatching. Pops out and says, here's my friend, Gaia. It was super cute. I was so happy for Milim. She's so happy. All that trauma from the past is gone. Like I said, overall, decent episode. Again, I think there's a heavy significance with the whole, like, constitutional state. I think that for a actual kingdom is a huge shift. A massive shift. Technically, that's something that a lot of nations, you know, the United States, Japan, many countries have gone through, is the implementing of a constitutional state, which is huge. So, anyways, that's my thoughts on episode A4 of Tensura. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below. Till next time, you take care.